Welcome, friends, to the Connected Breath Podcast, your cozy nook in the vastness of life, where sacred connection isn't just explored, it's cherished.
We're your hosts, Kara, Kari, and Laura, inviting you to settle in like you would with your closest friends.
With heartfelt laughter, stories, and shared experiences, we honor the profound link between mind, body, and soul, all anchored in the breath that unites us. So let's take a deep collective breath and dive into connection.
I believe that we're actually recording this podcast.
Finally.
I'm in disbelief.
Right? It's only been like 3 months in the planning, I think.
Yeah.
But we're here.
But here we are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Who's excited right now?
it's so funny. So actually, you know what? We should share why we started this podcast, because I think it's really funny that we started it for a reason, which we'll share. And now we're sitting here finally recording it, and we're all like, what do we say?
I know. Like we had all these ideas and we were so creative and like the build up, right? And then now we're like, where do we begin? There's so much to talk about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But even before we like officially hit record in this moment, we were just laughing and cackling and like, I know cackling doesn't sound very nice, but I think that's probably what we sounded like. And like we never stopped talking, and then we hit record and we're like, what do we talk about?
Freeze.
So why don't we share that? Who wants to share? Like,
Okay.
what is the connected breath? Who are we? Why are we here? What are we doing?
Well, can I tell a little story?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I love the story of how we each and then all came together,
Mm-hmm.
which is necessary to happen to and then have a podcast. So I don't know how many years ago now, if it was 7-ish, Laura and I met, and I say met with quotations because this is all online, doing an online course, right? However many years ago that was.
Like a coaching program. Yeah.
Yes. And so we would do that program. We'd be on Zoom calls with a whole big group of people. And at some point along the way, we started, just you and I, having our own little private conversations during the Zoom calls. And then we started to get nervous that other people would see our messages. And we took our messages off on our own time using the Voxer app. And since then, 7-ish years ago, we have Voxered back and forth almost every day for that time.
Yeah.
And even though we've never officially met in person, like in real life, in person, we've developed this really, what I think anyway, really amazing friendship that is on such a deeper level than anybody else really that I have in my life, despite the miles between us. And it was, well, we can get into how like we each got into breathwork, but through breathwork, Laura met Kari, and then I met Kari. And I remember Kari, one of the sessions that we did, Kari was doing some practicum hours for a breathwork certification, and I was the eager and willing breathing participant. And I remember afterwards we were talking and just chatting, and then we started like brainstorming all these different ideas of what we could do with breath work and our business. And I remember you saying, I really hope we get to work together somehow, sometime, and I remembered that. And now here we are, the
Full
Connected
circle.
Breath podcast. So that's like the short version, but I think
Yeah.
it's
Well, and I mean, that's how you and I came together, right, Kara? And then you did briefly explain how Kari came in, but I want to share, like, so that was super cool. It's like one of my deepest friendships. But again, it is funny. We've never met in person, but like probably most about me than anyone else in my life. So then enter doing my breathwork certification, and I get partnered with this girl named Kari. And from like, so we had to meet weekly, I think, right? We got to meet weekly, right, Kari?
Yeah.
Yeah, for 6 months. So we really developed a deeper relationship, and we both have dealt with, experienced Lyme. We're in different parts of the journey with it. And I was like, whoa, like, I don't think that they knew that when they paired us. They wouldn't have known that. I didn't share that. So it's super divine that we came together and could deeply understand each other and then be on this breathwork journey together. And then I, like, selfishly am just so happy that the two of you clicked so easily. And it's not even weird. Like, you know how sometimes when there's three people, or especially like women, where maybe like because I'm in the middle, like I brought us together, sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope so and so doesn't feel left out because they do know so and so on a different level, right? But it feels like we've all come together like so seamlessly. Kara and Kari, you guys have developed a friendship, and like I don't even have to be on the call sometimes, and you guys do this. So I just think it's super cool that we all come from different places, met different ways, and here we are again. But Kari, you might have a completely different perspective on that as well.
Well, not really, but I mean, you're definitely the connector, which I think is really cool because I think I play the connector role a lot in my life over here in Wisconsin. But like what, yeah, talk about divine timing. I was really in a really tough place with my Lyme disease journey. You've been on it, and then here I'm partnered with you, and I have like this supportive person, and I don't know that I could have gotten through that really hard point. I think it was like this time last year. It was really hard. Life was really hard, and like you were right there with me, and how weird that you can have such a strong connection and bond with somebody over virtually. Like we've never met in person, but I didn't have that support anywhere else. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And then to be introduced to Kara, and like we just connected so easy. Like this trio is definitely meant to be. And you guys are some of the closest. I share everything with you guys, everything. And I don't have that in like, what do you call it, like the physical? I don't like,
Like
I only
in
have it
real life,
virtually, right?
this is pretend life.
Like how cool. We all have like breath work that has brought us together, which a lot of people are trying to figure out like what that even means to them. And so we've been able to figure that out together. And yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to be able to share our side of the things with others too, and our connection.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of like the name of our podcast that we decided on, the Connect Your Breath. It was like we all connected, but then also we use breath to connect through to ourselves. And maybe we will talk a little bit more about like what breath work is, but we're just totally winging this episode and just wanted to do it because it's been so much resistance. So like we just need to hit record and we need to do it. But I want to just note that we are all from different places. We have said that. Kari, you're from Wisconsin. Kara's from,
Can you say it?
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Good job.
Kara in 7 years has taught me how to say Massachusetts, not Massachusetts. I practiced. And then I'm from Canada, so Alberta, Canada. So I think that it's super cool too that again we're all connected from different parts of North America. And that's neat. And it does go to show the power of the internet, right? And I think a lot of people, when I tell them about breathwork and how we can do it online as well, this is a little bit of a segue, but they're like, how do you do it online? And I really feel like there is a physical connection and touch that can happen in person, but there's also just so much magic that can happen online when we do breathwork. And this is a testament to that. So anyways, I won't go into that, but we're here. We're recording our first episode. And I think, did we say how we got here? We started a weekly mastermind, right? So Kari and I finished our breathwork program and we were like, we need to keep going with like a mastermind because we can hold each other accountable, bounce ideas off, and just keep this going. And then Kara was also doing a certification, a separate one. And then I was like, well, this would just work out perfectly. So we started a mastermind, but then our conversations were just beautiful. Like the things that we were discussing and diving into, we were like, this should be recorded. And I think one of you should share like the feeling we have moving forward in this podcast, like that whole like connecting with your girlfriends, having conversations, and like where we're going with this.
Well, I'd like to say, I think despite all of our different locations and that we're in 3 different time zones, I think that the conversations we have had, and will continue to have are the types of conversations that if we did live closer, they would be around coffee, right? Coffee in the morning, or maybe under blankets, like around a fire pit in one of our backyards. Like they're that type of conversations. So even though we started out having these conversations based around breath work and our businesses, of course, our lives got brought into that, like Laura said. And the conversations always take a direction that we maybe never intended, but we always, I think, if I can speak for you guys, end up feeling like we really touched on something important, and we've recognized the beauty and how special it is to share, right? To share our stories, whether they're difficult stories, uncomfortable stories, that there is a lot of power in sharing. And so that is part of why we wanted to share with all of you, and then hopefully inspire you to continue that on with your friends and family and community.
And if I could add as well, I live in a small town and everything is really built around drinking. And so it's weird to talk about breath work when you're drinking. It doesn't really go hand in hand. And so my conversations with you guys, and I think just really opening the door and allowing for other people to be a part of the conversation too, when you don't have a beer in your hand and you can have just really in-depth conversations around really important topics, or life impacting topics, right? I think for me, like that's the gap that I'm trying to close, is looking for connection in more of a sober, deep, meaningful way.
I really love that.
That.
Like being vulnerable without something that opens that up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like we have this safe container that is the opening up. Like this is the alcohol or the whatever, insert whatever you want, right? And then now it feels safe to talk about things. I do really love that.
I do too.
Yeah. So what were some of the other things that we had? Oh, I think that Kari, you should explain what breathwork is, because we hopped on here and we're like, what is breathwork? How do we explain what breathwork is? And Kari said, I have a perfect example or a perfect definition. And I think however it comes out of your mouth is perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. Here's the deal. Breathwork is so hard to explain, and it is so hard to put your experience into words. So it's really something you have to experience for yourself, because it's a feeling. But if I were to put it into words, breathwork gives you the ability to alter how you feel on the inside, to connect your body to your mind to your body, because let's face it, we're all stuck in our minds most of the day, right? We're not tapping into our body, knowing how we're truly feeling about something. And so we can slow our mind down, or even just mute it and go into the body and see what's going on there, and maybe fully process the day or the week, by the breath pattern. So you can slow your energy down, calm your nervous system down by changing your breath pattern, making sure your exhales are longer than your inhales. And then you can reverse that. You can make sure that your exhales are longer, or your inhales are longer than your exhales, and you can bring more energy in. So like if you're really dragging, like it's 3 p.m., you're hitting that sugar crash or whatever it is for you, and you're needing more energy, you can change your breath pattern and you can energize yourself, and you can get ready to do whatever that next task is. So it's a way to manipulate maybe how you're feeling, or and maybe manipulate's a terrible word. It's a way for you to take your control back. Yeah?
I like that. Yeah,
Okay.
control. Take back control. Yeah, because I think that so many of us allow the way we're feeling to control the way we act. And so I think control is a perfect word for being able to take responsibility again for how you're showing up. I know it's super easy for me sometimes to be like, I'm just stuck here on the couch and I'm too overwhelmed, so I'm not going to do anything. And I know better, but as soon as I sink into some breath and invite my body online, because we're so used to dissociating, right, and shutting down, it's something we unconsciously have started to do since we were a young person at a young age. So I use the breath in that moment too, to like, okay, it's time to come into my body, feel what my body is feeling so I can move through it and then carry on with my day and not let that feeling rule my day. So I do really like the way that you say control. Also, it's like, but it's control in like a surrendering way, right? Because you are surrendering to what you're feeling. So it is a control, but not control in the way that I think we think of control. That was a lot of, I think.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's hard to find the words, right? Yeah. Cause it's not, it's a surrendering control. Absolutely.
There
right?
you go.
And I love breath work for all the things you said, because we can use it in those moments throughout our day of being more present and being more aware of what we're feeling so that we can make that shift. But then we can also use a breathwork session to go deep and allow our bodies to express something, anything that it's ready to release, that it's ready to let go of on a deeper level, because we're doing what Kari said and removing our mind from the situation. So we can do, especially in this like healing journey, we can be like, oh, I need to do inner child work, or I need to work on my attachments, or I need to work on, whatever, insert things hot and fresh in the industry today, right?
Yeah.
But when we do breath work, it's like, no, all of that goes. You go into a breath session and you essentially come out of it with your mind blown because you're like, wow, I didn't even know that like I was holding on to that, or that I needed that, or that my body was ready to express or tell me something, right? Because our mind got out of the way. So that's like one of my favorite things about breath work and using it on a regular basis, like day to day, but then also opportunities to go deeper into sessions too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think you just said this, but learning how to become aware of how you're feeling for me has been a game changer, because I think we go on autopilot a lot and we just feel the same way, or we've been feeling the same way for so long that it's just what feels normal, feels safe, even though it may not be a feeling that is the best feeling to have, or it might not be serving you well. So I think it's so eye-opening and also so powerful. Like when we're talking about control, I think it's powerful to be able to be aware of how you're feeling in a given moment and know that you don't have to feel that way. It's okay to feel that way, but you don't have to stay stuck in it, like you said before. And then also adding on the mind blown part, the thing I love is that I think for me anyway, my mind has been blown every single time in a different way. Like it's always different. It's always different. And for me, I've never been able to know like what exactly to expect, because it's going to give me what I need. And that is hard in one sense for me, because I like to control, like I want to know exactly what's going to happen and what I need to do. And there is that surrender that comes in, because what is necessary to happen is going to happen. And I might not even have any idea what that is before this session. So I think that's part of my favorite piece of the whole thing as well.
I have an example, like to kind of show, if that's okay, if I can share like an example of how to show like how the breath can really alter and change an outcome. So a friend of mine, like when you see someone who's really trying to lose weight and they're gaining weight, like they're doing like the 75 hard, right? Like they're working out twice a day, they're drinking all of their water, they've changed their diet, and they're not losing any weight, and they're going the opposite direction. And it's because they're not listening to their body. They're in their mind, right? They got their checklist. They're going to do it. It doesn't matter if they're tired. They're going to work through that because they're so strong. But if they would just go like turn down the noise in the mind, go into the body and see what the body needs, and start to listen to the body, then they start losing weight, right? They have all this built up cortisol, that stress hormone, and they're increasing their inflammatory markers. They're increasing their weight. They're not able to get those down because they are so stressed out about that dang daily checklist that their body is now working against them and not with them. So I think like that's where the breath comes in, like to work with your body and not against it. Yeah.
It's like we make things so much hard for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The breath can make it so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely agree. I would say for myself, that's like been a huge thing where I have gotten to a point of being okay with not doing the thing that I said I was going to do, which kind of goes against the whole like personal development world too, right? Like, oh, if you said you're going to do it, you have to keep doing it. But I came to this place of like tuning into my body and then being like, am I not doing it because I'm just being lazy and I am like, would rather sit here on the couch or whatever, insert whatever that excuse is? Or am I truly not doing it because my body is asking for just gentle movement or it does need rest? And then with that, learning to process any form of guilt or shame that I feel around not doing the thing that I said I was going to do. So I love for me for breath work that it's like so much body awareness that I get to deal with all the layers that comes into creating change. And it's such a natural progression. Now, I should note that this didn't happen after doing one breath session or two breath sessions. I've been doing breath work for over 3 years, I think, now regularly. And this has been like a journey. It's not a quick fix, but this is a journey of really coming home to my body and feeling sensations in my body, and then coming to a point of trusting those and being okay with it. So I guess I would just add on that that's like another favorite thing for me. I feel like this is turning into like my favorite things about breath work or how it affects me. Yeah, and I feel like that might have went a little bit off, not off topic, but a little bit of a turn.
I loved it. Thank you for
these
sharing.
conversations always go in the direction they're meant
This
to.
is what it's like having conversations with women, right? Oh, I know something I wanted to say. So with though, like having body awareness comes this like form of personal responsibility, because I know Kara, you were saying how like we just go through our day just kind of doing the thing that we don't even know. It's just who we've become and it's normal and we don't really know how to feel any different. One thing I've noticed within myself is that now that I am more body aware of how I'm feeling and the sensations that are going on, when I notice something, there is the part of me that wants to be like, I'm so annoyed that like I know better because I just want to play the victim card in this, right? And I want to be a bag to my family or to my husband, or, I just want to do something that I know won't serve me because that's easy. And that's been my programming in the past. But then I'm like, ugh, but I know how to move through this and I know how to shift this. And then so when I do, it feels so much better on the other side. But it's just funny that there is this like point of responsibility, what that comes with body awareness as well, right? Because now you're like, it's not unconscious. I actually choose this. So what do I want to choose? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
doing the thing that you know is going to be best for you, whether you really want to do it or feel like doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You still just
And I
need to
think
do
that's
it.
a great way to sum up what you and Kari both said for me is like, you're doing something because you feel it. Like it's a deep embodiment level, not a, oh, I should do this because it seems to be the hot topic right now or the hot thing or it's the trendy thing or my coach said or I read a book or whatever, right? It's like learning to decipher, no, what is here for me in this moment? And it's a feeling that you move through, not like a checklist to mark off.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think too, that might be hard for a lot of people when or if they start breath work because it is such a feeling thing, if they're very closed off. I mean, because I'm thinking about myself when I first started too, like I wasn't a big feeling person in terms of emotions, but also even just being able to check in. I think it was with you, Kari, once that you had me do a body scan and like just tell you what do I feel in my body. And I remember this because my mind went right into the pattern of like that I had had my whole childhood in school of like, oh my God, I don't know the answer. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What do I feel? I don't think I feel
There's
anything.
no wrong
And
answer.
like, I know, but I really was like, I don't feel anything. What am I supposed to say? And then you did it first. And, and that helped me because I'm like, okay, wait, I'm already overthinking this. I'm already overthinking this. And you gave your examples and I was like, okay, it's not, it's not hard. And I just need to like be aware of that I've gone into that mode, for a really long time. And then it was like so much better. But it was still difficult for me to even feel things in my body because I had disassociated from that for a really long time. So knowing that, and for anyone who wants to get started with breath work, just knowing that it's not, you don't know what experience you're going to have the first time you do it. You have no idea. And just kind of keep going and being open to learning, unlearning, and just whatever opens up for you, just being open to be able to receive that. I feel like I just went in a weird direction right there. I don't even know.
No, oh my gosh, you guys, it's all good. It's good. I was just thinking too, I think one of the biggest emotions, Kara, when you said learning and unlearning, right? For me, I really struggled with anxiety bad. And I can't even believe like the progress that I've made. And I owe that to breath work. That's it. Breath work, sitting in it, being with it, learning like why, like just going in deep and just getting out of the mind. I can't even believe who I am now because I have learned and also unlearned. I learned what was going in my body and I unlearned the what do you call like the habitual process my body would go through whenever it was triggered. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That totally makes sense. I wanted to say too that I think breathwork for me has helped me to understand that it's okay to feel any and all emotions. So it's okay to be angry and feel that, because for me, like, oh, to be angry is just like not good, right? It's not very womanly. It's, women just hold on to that kind of stuff. You can't express that. And then there's a form of expression that comes through doing breath work where it's not necessarily directed at anybody. So you don't have to feel bad about that, but you're not holding on to it anymore either. So it's allowing that energy to dispel, but just learning that there is no emotion that is good, bad, or otherwise, right? There's nothing different between anger and joy. It's simply an emotion, a frequency that we're holding in our body, but somehow our humanness has allowed us to place like criticism or just I don't know. Yeah, something on that.
You give it a
So,
meaning.
yeah, place meaning on them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Kara. So I love that for myself. And another thing that actually, then that's a huge reflection too on my children. So when they're experiencing big emotions, I'm like, oh, I'm able to actually hold their emotions better now too, because now I understand that there is nothing different between anger and happiness or joy, but also because I've worked through a lot of the stuff that I've been storing in my body that is unconscious, I feel like I have like a bigger container, so a bigger space to actually hold them in what they're going through as well without being reactive because they're triggering my shit. So that was something I wanted to add. And then the other thing I just was thinking as we're all sharing this is like, if you've never done breath work before, you don't have to come into it thinking, oh shit, so I'm not feeling, and now I'm going to feel everything I've ever held on to in my body. I want to note that first, we take you through slow, and even just maybe sometimes the first time you do breath work is literally a few moments. Like, we're not going to take you through this big, deep, immersive breath work session if you're not ready for it, right? You're always in control of your breath session. You can come back to your regular breath pattern at any time if something feels too much or it's too fast. We don't want to re-traumatize you. So it can be nice and slow, and you don't have to feel the things, but like feel the things that you're not ready for. But I also have this really deep belief through my own journey and through watching my clients is that your body will take you where you're ready to go. Your body is wise. It holds infinite wisdom that we don't give it credit for. And so it's like layers that are shed, but you don't need to be afraid. And you can still hold resistance because that's natural for your brain to be like, oh, I'm resistant to this. But it doesn't have to be like this big, deep process all at once. For me, it was. My first breath session was like intense. But for some people, that's too much. It's too much. So just knowing that it doesn't have to be like a big intense thing. It can be a few moments of breath, like body awareness starts wherever you're at. Right? Do you guys attest to that, or do you have
Oh my
anything, a
gosh.
personal experience on that?
Well, I'm sure we all, yes, everyone has a personal experience to that. But I'm so glad you shared that because that can be a scary thought, you know, like going into like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this breath work. Am I even ready for it? I have some really deep stuff. I don't know if I even want to go there yet. But yeah, you're not going to process faster than what you're ready for, typically. If you have a good gut, if
And
you have a good
sometimes it
gut.
might, sorry, say that again, Kari.
Oh, if you have a good like breath work facilitator, like
Yeah.
you're safe. You're safe.
Yeah.
You're held.
Yeah, I would say, because now I'm thinking back, when I did breath work for the first time, like even though Laura had told me about breath work many times, it didn't register at all, like as to what it was, what it would be like. And I did a breathwork session with someone who needed some practicum hours. It was before you guys had started on that certification. I really went into a completely, like, had no idea what to expect. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I had no idea. And so now that I can like look back on doing those few sessions with her, and then I started doing sessions with Laura, and then I started doing sessions with Kari. I had started my own certification in there and was doing sessions with that teacher. I had a really nice progression, like, and I wasn't aware of it until you guys just brought that up, but it really, I can see now that things happened when I was ready,
Mm-hmm.
even though in that moment I had no idea that was happening that way. Um, but it was exactly what I needed each time. And then when I was ready to go deeper, I did. But and again, I'm just like kind of laughing because I wasn't aware of that at the time. It's just in looking back that I can see that that's how it went, and it was really cool, and it continues to be cool.
That is cool. I was just thinking how we started this conversation by saying that, like, this space is a nice opportunity to create safety and vulnerability without a substance. But then I was like, hey, wait, some people might actually say that breath work it's not a substance, but it is a method to almost create a high, right? Like there's those sayings, it's like get high on your own supply, or I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head this moment. So I just was randomly thinking about how, like, oh yeah, actually, in a way you are. But my viewpoint is that it's like, it's your breath, it's your God given breath that you are using to increase, like Kari said, your inhales or your exhales and kind of manipulating your body. But I think it's no different than food, right? What you choose to put into your body. Sometimes you need more hydration. So you might eat more fruit or drink more water. So I feel like that's exactly how breath work is. It's like this thing that God gave us and we can use it to heal. It's not like alcohol or drugs or eating, I was going to say food, but like knowingly eating bad foods or things like that, right? What do you guys think about that? Nothing?
I
You think
agree, but
nothing?
I just didn't know if Kari was going to say something, so I was
No,
just waiting.
I feel like you summed it up really good. I have nothing more to add to that. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
I don't think I do either.
It's like breath. Your
It's
breath
definitely
is a
true.
door, right? Your breath is a door to whatever you want that door to open. Do you want peace?
Yeah.
Then you can open the door to peace through your breath. Do you need more energy? You can open that door to more energy. But yeah, it's your life-given force. Is that what they call it? Your life-given force. And I just want to
Mhm.
add, we should probably make a shirt with "Get high on your own supply." I'm sure they're already out there, but let's make our own. It'll be better.
Yeah.
They probably are out there. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, that would spark some questions. Like, what?
Right.
What do you mean? Yeah. I just wanted to say, to kind of start wrapping this up, that I think breathwork is a long-term journey. Like it's not
Mhm.
just a one and done thing. And I think some people might think that, or like it's a quick fix, a quick eat the pill, drink the pill, whatever, and it's all gone. It's not at all. And I think when people come into breathwork, this journey, that they should understand that it is a nice slow process. And I think that saying the slower you go, the faster you get there, I think that completely applies to breath work. And so committing to a longer term journey with it that you do consistently is more key, but more key. I don't know if that even makes sense. I'll just also note that we're recording these podcasts first thing in the morning when I just wake up. So my words might not be about me yet. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else we want to share on our very first episode? Does anyone, share what we plan to bring moving forward too?
Well, I'd like to add that if you're a beginner in breath work, you can't mess it up. So sometimes we get so stuck in our head with all of the rules, like, am I breathing right? Am I doing it right? I don't know if I'm doing it right. And you don't even have to worry yourself with that because you cannot mess it up. You can't mess it up. That's the only thing I wanted to add.
I love that.
I love that too. And as someone who has constantly always wanted to do everything right. That was
Kara, this is a huge topic for you.
Yeah. I always had to know that I was doing it exactly right. And even before we started, like, well, what if this happens? What am I supposed to do? So that has, to your point, Kari, that is something that I've definitely learned a lot, learned and unlearned, that you can't mess it up and that whatever happens is okay. And that you also have, I think, or someone had mentioned it, like you have control over your body when you're doing breath work. So if things didn't feel okay at some moment, you can back off. You have control over that. And that's also something that I think was a big piece to learn for me because it was all about just doing it correctly. That's what mattered to me in the past. So I'm glad you pointed that out.
That makes me think of one more thing. So doing like plant medicine, or if you do drugs or alcohol, that's a substance that's like in you and it has to play its course, right? It's going to take you on the journey, whether you're done with it or not, right? It has to move its way through your body. And that's one thing that I appreciate and love about breathwork on the topic of you are in control, is that you get to surrender to the level you feel comfortable with. And at any moment you no longer feel comfortable, you just come back to your regular breath pattern and it's done. It's over. You don't have to wait that process out. So I just wanted to add that, as I think it's a very beautiful way to journey inwards without using an external substance and getting stuck there or having to play it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
in my own
a good
experience.
A good point.
Yeah. So, I feel like there's 100 things we could talk about today. Like now I'm thinking, well, we should probably tell people like, what does a breath session look like? Or
I just was thinking that too.
Right?
I just
Of course
a piece
you
of
were.
paper to write that down.
Yeah. And, we could walk someone through what a breath session looks like, because there might be some resistance or there might be some complete excitement of like, I want to try a breath session, right? So I feel like there's tons of things we can talk about. We want to share deeper of our personal journeys of breath work, and we want to share different topics. We have a whole list of topics that are down, right? But we also want to keep these at manageable lessons. Are we teaching lessons? Episodes.
Maybe.
I guess it's a lesson in some form. So we have lots to talk about. So we're going to have to break that down into more and more and more podcast episodes.
Yes.
Yeah. And stay tuned because we want to share the experience of breathwork with you as well. So there'll be that opportunity too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Do we have anything else to share? Or is this like complete our first episode?
It feels complete.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for listening, and we can't wait to hang out with you again next time.
It's been an honor to share this space and time with you on the Connected Breath podcast. As we part ways, remember to carry the essence of today's conversation into your world, nurturing the sacred connection within and around you.
If you have felt a spark of connection today, we invite you to become a part of our community by subscribing, sharing, and leaving us a review. Your heartfelt words and reflections mean the world to us and help others find their way to our shared journey.
Until next time, keep breathing, keep connecting, and keep living the depth of your story.